Welcome to the 2021 Interactive Investor Lightweight Boat Races.
Hello, I'm Richard Wilson, Chief Executive of Interactive Investor, and I'm delighted to reconfirm our support for the lightweight boat races. Like you, we're inspired by common themes: putting the work in, working as a team, and going the extra mile. Last year has been a challenge for everybody, not least yourselves, both in terms of academic life and overcoming the barriers to training. So huge extra kudos to all of you for getting where you have got to today. We're super excited about the contest, and may the best team win. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to the Women's 2021 Lightweight Boat Race. I'm Martin Cross, your commentator for today, and with me, British Olympian Tom Ransley.
It's not bad conditions. What do you think, Ryan?
It's looking good, isn't it? Not too much of a wind, little bit of a cross maybe, but it looks nice and flat. Nothing much to trouble the crews.
Yep. Oxford won the coin toss earlier this morning, and they've chosen to go on the rail side. So as we're seeing it, it's on the left. I don't think it will make too much of a difference, but I don't know. We'll see.
So let's hear the interviews of both coaches from Oxford and Cambridge by Tom Ransley.
It's been a weird year. I don't really have any idea of relative speed, so I am confident that our crew is going to go out and give a great performance. They've done a great job coming out of lockdown and with 5 weeks of water time, just giving it everything to every session, and we're going out confident today.
That's good. The briefing before we pushed off, what was the final message from you to them?
Just that they've already rehearsed everything they're doing today. Nothing is new. They've done it all before in training. We've rehearsed every part of the race. I think they've got a lot of confidence as well from how the open weight women have done, and we trained together as a squad, so they know their relative speeds to them and they know they're good. We have the same race plan. I think they're really confident from that.
And then the last one was, what do you think of the sides? Like, you didn't win the coin toss, you now play a part.
Not really. If we'd have won the toss, we would have chosen the same side, so rail side. But I don't think it makes much difference at all. It's crosswind today. We've trained in crosswinds, so we're ready for whatever.
What was the last thing I said in my briefing? I said that I was really impressed with how they've come together as a crew, as a squad, how much they've worked, supported each other. They've managed to remain competitive, but competitive against themselves rather than between themselves, and that we had one common goal, which was to make our best performance.
And how do you think the race is going to unfold?
Well, obviously you could argue that we're the underdogs, having not really set foot on the water much before, but we're as prepared as we can be, and we look forward to giving Cambridge a really good race. Obviously, as our competitors, they're the only people who know exactly what it is to get to this place at this point in time, and especially through this last year. So, we have to have the absolute utmost respect for the performance they're going to produce as well.
You won the toss?
We did.
Can you tell us what you were thinking behind it?
Well, again, inexperience on this course, but we've gone for what we suspect might be the most sheltered station. We've consulted with lots of people. We've had a lot of help from all sorts of alumni and people who've raced on the course before and trained and coached. They've all been very generous with their imparting of knowledge to us. So we hope that at the end of the day, if we're going to win, you've got to win.
So tense moments on the start here as both crews are aligned by the aligner on the bank. We'll be off soon. And there's the start given by umpire Matt Holland. Were Oxford drifting a little bit on that start, Tom?
Yeah, I think there might have been a little bit of movement. It's such a hard thing to get right on the start line. All the nerves, all the tension, but they're rowing now. I think they're getting into their rhythm.
So we've seen the two strokes that are going to be on shot from our camera behind the boat. Laurel Kay from Worcester College, Oxford, and Casey Shepherd from Jesus College, Cambridge.
I'd say Cambridge probably about a foot down, right? Or they're getting warned, and that's Dylan in the cock seat for Cambridge, having to make the adjustments from Matthew Holland, the umpire.
Now, Dylan Whittaker, the Cambridge cock, is incredibly experienced, isn't he, Tom?
Yeah, that's right. It was only recently that he's won the boat race with the Cambridge women on this very course in Ely. So, I'm sure the lightweight women have got a lot of confidence in his calls and his race nous.
Cambridge maybe just taking a metre off of Oxford in that little 20-second gap, Tom?
Yeah, that's right. Probably got a little bit of the better rhythm, and the Oxford Cox is having to steer away now, which is going to cost some.
Yeah, and Matthew Holland nearly got his flag out there but didn't. So we're riding with the boat with Casey Shepherd, the 25-year-old, the stroke of Cambridge.
They're coming back in. That's pretty tight.
I don't know, why do coxes want to steer so close together, Tom?
Yeah, I don't know. On the tideway, you can see there's going to be a big advantage, but there's very little difference really on this bit of water. There is a little bit of movement, a bit more speed in the centre, but there's not a big advantage for courses, for fast water, that kind of thing.
Shot there in the bows of Cambridge of Leah Balthausen, the German who had that dreadful bicycle accident and was training with, in effect, a brain injury, I believe, in November 2019. And she had to be sent home. She missed selection that year. And it's great to see her well and recovered from that injury. But she's right up in the bows of the Cambridge boat. You just see a shot of her there, a blade in the bow seat, furthest away from the camera.
She actually was Magdalene College, Oxford, with the Oxford Cox, Claire Cocker.
Oh wow!
Yeah, in their undergrad days. So a bit of a rivalry between friends now.
A lot of connection now. Cambridge look to have a lead just in the second 500 metre of this race. You can see Dylan Whittaker looking across at the Oxford crew, and he's going to like what he sees, because what's his sort of looking across at the 5 or the 6 woman in the Oxford boat, maybe going down to 4 or 3 women. Actually, that's a handy lead for Cambridge to have at this stage.
Yeah, that's warning signs for Oxford. They're really going to have to keep their nerve here, because you get if the Cambridge get a bit more, they're going to start building that confidence, building that momentum, and all of a sudden you can't come back.
So we should say that these women have all had to weigh in at a weight lower than 61.5 kilograms. That's a little bit more than the 59 kilograms in world rowing, but that's the limit set, and they've had to make this weight a couple of hours before the boat race. Some of the women have had to have a pre-paddle, I think. Casey Shepherd, the Cambridge stroke, she said she had to have a pre-paddle for the race with 5 layers of clothing on, just to lose the amount of sweat off to get down to that weight, Tom.
Yeah, I never had to do that kind of thing as an open weight, and rowing is tough enough, let alone with having to be so disciplined with that. But they manage it. They get their studies done. It's very impressive.
So we're looking at the 6th girl there, Hazel Wake from St Edmunds Hall, originally rowed at Yarm School. Says her hero is Kat Copeland, the 2012 Olympic gold medalist in lightweight women's double sculls. Understandable that she's a hero in this lightweight women's boat race.
They're doing well. They're still hanging in there, Oxford, aren't they?
They're hanging in there. Yeah, it's a great race. I think the races we've seen this on this course at Ely have been closer than the boat race on the Tideway. I think when it was last raced, Cambridge won by 6 lengths in 2020 on the Tideway. It doesn't look it's going to be a 6-length margin on this race, Tom.
No, I don't. I agree. I think it's they're really just neck and like. Do you think Oxford are coming back on this?
Yeah.
I think they are. Like, yeah, they're doing well. Oh, not on their home water, and I don't know. If I was in the Cambridge boat, maybe I'd be a little bit nervous. Oh, there's a
How close
clash.
are those blades? That's amazing. That's the bow woman in the Oxford boat, Rosie Thorogood from Somerville College. Her hero's Jess Eddy. She learnt to row at Putney High School. She's just 18 years of age, and her blade is so close to the 6th woman in the Cambridge boat, Laura Stewart's blade. And the crews have separated there, but I think that's what we love to see, that closeness of racing, Tom, and that that possible bit of contact.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the kind of unique selling point of the boat races generally, isn't it? You know, it's not buoyed courses, it's not straight laned racing. It's it's a little bit of argy-bargy.
Yeah, lovely one-on-one racing. Cambridge rate around about 34 strokes a minute, I think. Similar rate for the Oxford crew. It's quite a high rate of striking to maintain down this 5-kilometre course, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, and the with all the disruptions and the lockdowns, it's going to be difficult to necessarily get that slick rhythm, because their water time will have been reduced a bit. But you'd expect their base fitness to be really up there because of all the erg mileage.
Yeah, that's really interesting reading through the bios. Look at Oxford coming back now. They really have made a difference in this, what are we into, coming up to 2,000 metres of this 5-kilometre race. Definitely a third through the race. And Oxford are making moves into Cambridge's lead. That's a great move. And the Oxford Cox, Claire Cocker, really calling her crew. And look, you can hardly split the crews now, Tom.
This is fantastic, really tenacious, gutsy row from Oxford. They're what, half a length, maybe even a little bit more, really early doors, but they've just used this 2nd kilometre to fight back. And I don't know, if I was in Cambridge, would you start to get a little bit tense knowing that they've come back and they've got a very slight inside corner? I mean, it's barely anything, but add to the momentum, the confidence. That's tough.
Yeah, Hazel White there, the 6th woman from St Edmunds Hall, really stuffing it in there. She's really, you can see, getting round that rig a good length that she's setting up her crew from the 6th seat, the Oxford 6th woman, and just putting them right back into contention in this race. And I think that's going to be such a morale boost for Oxford to have been down and then to come back. We're not quite at halfway in this race. The umpire's warning Oxford a little bit there, but I think it's right what you say, Tom, that the Cambridge crew have seen that lead. They would have felt really boosted by that lead. Now they've got to reset their psychology.
Yeah, absolutely. But you look at the blade work there from Cambridge, and it doesn't seem to me that they are getting tense. So I wouldn't write them off just yet. But it's tough. And that's Oxford's in the lead, isn't it? That's seriously tight. That's such good racing. Yeah,
great shots from our drone following the race there, and you can see from the side camera there, that's the Oxford bows in front there. That's the Oxford bow woman, Rosie Thorogood from Somerville College. Remember, her hero was Jess Eddy. Learnt her at Putney High School down there on the Thames, which was where I think the Oxford lightweight women crew boated from for the women's boat race. I think that might be right. So she's seen and experienced the boat race as a spectator, and now she's actually in the middle of it and possibly leading the race at the moment as we go through the halfway mark, very close to the halfway mark of this course.
I just wonder whether or not with such tight margins the home water is going to slightly, have an advantage for the Cambridge girls, because as you get deep into that second half and the fatigue and the exhaustion starts to play a factor, Cambridge are just going to be a little bit more confident of their marcus and know how to start sprinting home. Whereas Oxford, you're you just might kind of like succumb to that pain because you don't know when to how much further is left.
Well, it's interesting because Oxford have moved back and now they've kind of stopped moving and both crews are going toe to toe, right, bow ball to bow ball. And so Oxford have had the advantage, but now they know they're in a real race. Look at the face there of Harriet Thomas in the 7th seat. You can see really gritting her teeth behind those sunglasses. She's got an equestrian blue as well as a rowing blue. So she's a really talented woman. Oxford are leading now, Tom.
Yes, that's impressive stuff. And this is the point where you just want to take your momentum, take your advantage and push it home. Because, like you say, for a moment earlier I felt like they'd sort of stopped moving. And, if you wound it back, you don't quite make the clear water, can't quite break the race open, then you can, you almost like go backwards, don't you? Whereas now this is the chance for them to like really stick in and try and get that win done.
Just over 2,000 metres or so to go in this race. Let's give a name check to the leading crew. The Oxford Stroke Laurel Kay, Harriet Thomas in the 7th seat, Hazel Wake at 6, there she is. Helena Pickford at 5, Constanta Berkelou at 4, Catherine Ferris at 3, Katie Woolstead at 2, Rosie Thorogood in the bow seat and Claire Cocker the Cox. And there's her opposite number from the Cambridge crew, Dylan Whittaker. Tasted success on this course already this year as Cox of the Cambridge crew, but now he's up against it and he knows his crew have got to fight for every metre on this course.
Yeah, and we just saw a shot of them going by a bit of home support. I mean, what can they do with that? Can they get inspired to try and make a comeback here?
I think Cambridge are not out of it at all. Oxford have stopped moving and Dylan Whittaker getting warned again by the umpire. And Cambridge have edged back. That was a slight lead that Oxford have, and this is a move by Cambridge. They look to have come around a little longer around the front end of the pin, Tom.
Yeah, I think you're right there. That's I can't believe how tight this race is. You couldn't ask for anything better, could you? This is absolute bow ball to bow ball the whole way down.
So the Oxford crew know they're in a real race. They were behind, they fought back into it. They took the lead just briefly by a metre or two. And now they've had to lose that lead a little bit as Cambridge now lead by, 2 or 3 metres. Let's give a name check to the Cambridge crew. Casey Shepherd in the stroke seat closest to the camera. Rosanna Barraclough, Laura Stewart in the 6th seat. Coco Newton, the 25-year-old from Robinson College. Olivia Allett from Jesus. Emily Richards from Emmanuel. Freya Sutcliffe from Jesus College. Leah Balthusen, the German, originally from Heilbronner Rue de Gesellschaft in Schwaben. And what a toughie she is. We've spoken already about that accident she had to overcome from the bicycle just to be in that bow seat. And the Cox, Dylan Whittaker. And Cambridge now, this looks significant. This is a margin we haven't seen in this race, Tom.
Yes, this could potentially spell the end of the Oxford's racing. I'm not sure. It's super tight. We've got maybe a kilometre and a half. You can see the bridge just in the distance. That's the finish line, and Cambridge have really started to move here, haven't they? They haven't broken it totally open, but a good half length.
Yeah, a good half a length. And of course, the crucial thing for Oxford to do is to keep contact if they can, to keep an overlap. You're feeling if you've got an overlap, the Cox, Cambridge Cox, Claire Cocker can keep her crew motivated and excited. Just a kilometre and a half ago, something like around about 5 minutes of racing, and you can see that bow of the Cambridge 8 forging ahead, probably something like 3/4 of a boat length. Oxford still have overlap, but they've got to hang on. This is a key point in the race for Oxford.
Yeah, we just saw Dylan glance across there. He will be just going by the bow girl of Oxford, and it's really treacherous times for Oxford. You've got a kilometre left roughly, and it's just ripe for a 2-man move, and that's where the Cambridge are just going to try absolutely everything to break clear into clear water.
Do the 5 women of Oxford, Helena Pickford's the DPhil in organic chemistry. She's in her own space there, but I think she'll see the Cambridge puddles and she'll hear the Cox's calls at the moment. You know, we're 1 length down, and they've really got to be calling for everything now, Oxford, with something like about 1,000 metres or so to go in this race. Just about 4 minutes of racing, and there we go, Oxford digging in.
Yeah, that's tough, and you can see the blade work's just starting to crack a little bit, and you can that's just total commitment from Oxford, and I think they're running out of gas.
That length at Cambridge is really impressive. They seem to come right round, a look behind from Dylan Whittaker there, just to see if Oxford are moving back, and he's seen clear water, Tom. That could be a crucial point in the race. The clear water margin between the bow of the Oxford boat, the dark blue boat, and the stern of the light blue boat, and really that means that Cambridge have got such an advantage coming into the race. Last 3 minutes of this race.
Yeah, I think if you're in the Cambridge boat right now, you're gonna. That's a beautiful sight, isn't it? That's good times. You're gonna try and relax and just enjoy it from here on in. Like all of those lockdowns, all of the ergs. This is the time to go home. Oh, that's not ideal from on the Oxford boat.
Yeah, camera in the water. I don't think it's doing too much to disturb the flow of the Oxford boat, but I think what you said about the lockdown, these women have really had to train through 2 lockdowns, haven't they? And particularly, I think they found the last lockdown extremely difficult, where they'll be training and racing and doing their university work sleeping in the same room for around about 20 to 25 weeks, not knowing whether this lightweight women's boat race was going to take place, and a lot of them have said that was a really tough and dark time for them.
Absolutely. The motivation, when you know that you've got your race, that's one thing. But when you might be training for an event which doesn't even happen, it's going to be so much harder to keep the motivation going. So really respect to all the athletes here today.
Yeah, and it's easy to row, isn't it, when you're in front? Just keep that nice long rhythm, that motivation. You can look behind and you can see the dark blues trailing in your wake. You've got a good margin. It's nearly a length of clear water now. That Cambridge crew on the far side are ahead of Oxford. And although that camera's trailing in the water, I don't think it's affecting the result of the race at all at the moment. There it is, just maybe over a length of clear water, Tom.
Yeah, I think Oxford, they did everything they could to stay in there, and they kind of created the opportunities as well. But when it's done, isn't it? It's very tough to keep that speed up when you've lost eyesight of your opposition.
Casey Shepherd from Cambridge setting a great rhythm there. The Oxford crew just slightly lower in their stroke right now. There's a long yet to look right back over his shoulder, Dylan Whittaker, to see the Oxford boat. He's just double, triple checking, isn't he, that Oxford aren't mounting a challenge, but he must know with that margin that his crew are safe.
Absolutely. It's going to be the thorough perfectionist of a Cox.
See the shouts on the bank. This is a COVID-safe event, so not meant to be many spectators. Is that a smile across the face of Casey Shepherd there as she comes up towards the finish line and hears the cheers? Literally are coming into the final few strokes there, and there's the margin from our drone, Tom.
Yeah, and I think they're just sprinting home, even though they know they have the result in the bag, just because of the joy of being able to be out on the water and race. After such a tough year with all the lockdowns, like I say.
And I have to say, this is a much more close race than the 2020 version on the Tideway. We do get close races here on the Ely course, but Cambridge are coming up to the finish. Look at that celebration.
Fantastic. Yeah, it means so much to them, doesn't it?
That is absolutely marvellous. It was a relatively close race we saw in the middle when Oxford had the lead.
Yeah, it was really only in that last kilometre where they've got this big margin, and you can see total devastation, sympathies going out to Oxford there.
Crew's just come under the bridge. There is only one winner in the boat race, and see what it means as the Cambridge crew give 3 cheers to their rivals from Oxford. All those training, those hard hours in the room, working on their ergometers, doing those Zoom sessions with the crews, Zoom Pictionary to try and keep contact while they were locked down and isolated. All worth now. And is that the German in the bow of the Cambridge? Is that Leah Balthusen standing up in the bow? I think it is. And she's been through more than anybody in this race and deserves that triumph.
And now we're going to hear from a couple of the rowers.
I think we were just pretty confident the whole way through. We had a really sort of rehearsed plan that we've been doing since the start of the year. And I think we just all really bought in and had a lot of confidence in that as a crew. It felt pretty relaxed to me. I was in the 4th seat, and I think we just executed it exactly how we wanted to.
When Oxford, you took an early lead, and then but
Yeah.
came back and took the lead. Was there any doubts or nerves at that point?
I don't think so. I think the whole crew were just relaxed. We were just doing our race, doing our thing, our water. We knew we had a bit left in the tank if we needed to lift, so yeah.
And then when did you feel like you'd had it in the bag and you knew it was done?
I think for me, by the 4K tree, that's quite a significant landmark for us, and we had a lift planned for the finish, so we were ahead at that point and we knew that we could lift again. So.
And then feeling crossing the line?
Oh, undescribable. So nice having all the support from everyone as well. Obviously we've been one club this year, so I think that was really obvious by all the support from everyone else in the club. So yeah, it was an amazing feeling.
Can you tell us how you felt going into the race?
Actually, surprisingly calm, because we've been through all the bits and odds quite a couple of times, so that was good. Yesterday we also watched the open weight race, kind of trying to visualize the course and everything, so it was good.
And you put a really good fight up, you took the lead, it was neck and neck for so long. How did it feel inside the boat?
To be honest, I think the middle bit, which is kind of the hardest bit, was very satisfying. So, I mean, also on the erg, when you do the 5K, I always have that moment when I'm kind of, 3K and I'm thinking, 2 more to go. So I think that bit, when we were ahead in the middle, was very good. And then actually, I mean, there are so many things going on. It just goes past kind of very fast. So I still kind of need to digest it a little bit.
Welcome back to the start of the men's 46th lightweight boat race between Oxford and Cambridge. I'm Martin Cross, with me Tom Ransley. The two crews, Ed Lamb at stroke of Oxford, Matt Edge strokes Cambridge. And as the crews aligned, Tom caught up with Matt Holland, the umpire of the Cambridge and Oxford women's boat race.
Matthew Holland, race umpire. What's your take on the race? What's your big concerns as an umpire?
The challenges of getting a floating start on a river are quite immense. You've got the getting the crews lined up on the start is very difficult. You've got a crosswind so they can blow in together, and getting the right separation is very difficult. But once the race is off and underway, it's just a question of keeping the crews apart. In Ely, the middle of the stream is a little bit faster, and I think the Coxes will be trying to get that. So it's just a question of making sure that it's fair and safe for all the competitors.
Very good. Unlike the previous boat races we've had in Ely, we've got pretty good conditions. But I understand there's potentially some on-water traffic as well. Is that something you kind of preempt or rehearsed?
So you run through scenarios in your head, and I've spoken to the crews beforehand about what I'm going to do if there is traffic on the river. But because the river is not closed, it's something you've just got to take as it comes. And I think as long as the crews are receptive and the Coxes don't get too absorbed in the racing, it should be okay to steer around.
So the aligner is trying to get the boats bow balls in line. Oxford just pulling up there, but Cambridge will want to have a little say there. They'll kind of want to have a little bit of momentum through the line, won't they, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a stressful position, this one.
See Aggie Crumpton and Nick Ryan from Oxford, Callum McRae and Rich Peacock from Cambridge. And there's a start. It's a clean start, and both crews go through their start sequence, wind it off. What are they doing in this start sequence, Tom?
So they're just going to be trying to get that boat speed up and running as quick as possible. And Oxford has done that certainly better than Cambridge. They've got the jump on Cambridge there.
Ed Campbell from Wadham in the bow seat, learnt to row at Hampton School, up in the bows of the Oxford boat. That's the crew on your left, the railway side. Cambridge rowing on the right-hand side of the course, the road side. And we're riding with the Oxford boat there. Stroke Ed Lamb. from St Anne's, brother rode for Goldie in 2010. A little change in loyalties for the family history there.
Look, Cambridge seem to have got their composure back now from that overhead shot. I'd say, they're really close though. That's going to be tough for the umpire.
I mean, that's got to be a great start for the Oxford crew, hasn't it? You've got to be so pumped if you've just travelled here from your Wallingford training centre, where Oxford Road, to the training centre of the enemy, Cambridge, and you've just done them off the start into the first minute of this race. What, half a length is that?
Yeah, and that's a lot of pressure as well. The mental side of it, because every single Oxford crew that has come here this year has gone away empty-handed. They've all lost. So, really, the Oxford lightweight men, it's the pressure's on them to redeem the reputation for Oxford, and they're certainly doing well.
Yeah, that's an incredible feature, isn't it? That Cambridge have won those 5 races on the trot. This is the 6th race. And Oxford have started brilliantly. We're looking at the Oxford stroke there, Ed Lamb. Nice, smooth, relaxed, sunglasses on the top of his head. There's Nick Ryan in the 5 seat. Aggie Crumpton at 6. Learned to row at Oxford and doing a great job at the moment, that 5-6 combination in the powerhouse of the Oxford boat. Oxford nearly going out to a length. Going to hit clear water quite soon if they carry on at this rate, Tom.
Yeah, and they started to move across there almost. They're getting it all their own way right now. Cambridge in a really precarious situation here.
CC Hong, the Cox from St Catherine's, originally learned her rowing at Headington School under Ryan Demain, the coach there. You can see CC Hong in the Cox's seat of that Oxford boat, and she really has done well, got that little bit of a lead, and just sending those puddles down to disrupt her opposition now.
Yeah, and we just saw Ed Campbell in the bow seat at Cambridge having a quick glance across. It's going to be really important for him to sort of communicate as much as he can and say that, we're still on it. I've still got sight of the Oxford guys, to try and motivate the guys in front of him to hang on. And they're just about doing it, maybe starting to make a couple of inches, inching back.
It looks smooth and cool, don't they? That Oxford boat really into their race rhythm, redlining it. Talk about the red line, Tom. They've got to go as close to the red line as possible. What is that mythical red line?
Yeah, absolutely. So, it's a long race. So you don't want to overcook it. You don't want to bury yourself somewhere you can't get it back and then, it costs you down the line. But you want to be right up there so that every single stroke you're taking is moving that hull as fast as possible. And 8th racing particularly, you want to get that boat up and running and then just sort of tapping it along as best you can. So yeah, Oxford in a fantastic position right here. That it should relax them. It should, they know they've got more power. So it's just if they can get into the rhythm.
Great shot from the drone. If anything, I think Cambridge might have moved back maybe 1 metre or 2 metres there on that shot from the drone. Oxford had a little bit more. Cambridge maybe slightly moving back, but I don't think Oxford are going to be fazed by that. You can see from the drone shot the launch is following. The umpire just warning Oxford, just give a little bit of clearance to Cambridge. CC Hong, the Oxford Cox, trying to push Holly Beveridge, the Cambridge Cox, over and just send those puddles down. You can see how much difficult is it to row in the puddles of another boat, Tom?
Yeah, it's a horrible position Cambridge are in. They're getting the dirty water. It's just going to feel a little bit awkward. You're just not going to get quite the same feedback when you're getting that kind of bounce and disrupted rhythm, or disrupting your rhythm from that water. Not ideal.
So the Cambridge boat, that 3/4 of a length behind, they've still got contact, which is vital. We're probably coming up to just over 1/3 of the way through this race. 5 minutes gone. Reckon that this race will be about 14 or 15 minutes long. So we're well into the first third of the race. Oxford have a vital lead over their light blue rivals. And there was another look around from the Cambridge bowman, Bon Mackenzie, just sat in front of him. There we see Fred Gillard's son of Dave Gillard, famous British rower, won the Grand Challenge Cup at Henley in 1996. Dave, and unsurprisingly, he is Fred Gillard's hero, rowing hero.
Absolutely. We can also see the 7-man Callum McRae, who was actually trying to get into Goldie. He was a Goldie member in 2019, but when he missed out this year, he opted to try and get into the lightweight crew, which he's obviously managed, and he's trying to set that rhythm from the 7 seat.
The umpire is warning Oxford again, but she's steering right down. She's actually steering a great course. You'd love your Cox to be doing that, wouldn't you, Tom? Just sending those dirty water puddles down for the Cambridge blades to try and grip and find the water in. She's steered a great course, given no quarter at all.
Yeah, and she won't have had any experience on this track, and as you say, she's making life very difficult for Cambridge. But they're still hanging in there, Cambridge, and that's the pressure actually starts to mount again on Oxford if they can't just break away. They've got themselves into this position. They just need to capitalise now.
I'd say they've taken about 5-6 metres back. It was 3/4 of a length. What is it going now to? 2/3 of a length, coming up to maybe half a length. It's a key moment for Cambridge. They put a big effort in there. Holly Beveridge called for a big effort from Matt Edge and Callum McRae and Peacock in the 6th seat, Rob Peacock, and they've delivered and moved Cambridge back into contention. But is that an answer from Oxford now?
Yeah, I think the next couple of minutes is going to be absolutely fundamental, totally critical for this race, because they're going to come around that very slight corner, and there's very few landmarks on this course, so this is going to be the area they're going to try and break it open.
So it's around about halfway in the men's lightweight boat race. Oxford leading Cambridge by just under a length. Let's give a name check to the Oxford crew. Ed Lamb in the stroke seat, Ed Mortimer at 7, Aggie Crumpton at 6, Nick Ryan at 5, Bender Yeager in the 4 seat at 3, Harrison Kiefer, whose uncle apparently got an Olympic gold medal in the Cox Pairs back in 1932, at 2, Daniel Craig McFeely, and at bow, Ed Campbell. We've talked about the Cox already. There are the Cambridge boys. They know they're up against it now. Will this record of 5 consecutive races this year for Cambridge be broken? At the moment, it looks like Oxford are going to get that one solitary victory, and how sweet will that be, Tom?
Oh, it's going to be massive. You can see they're just starting to slip away now, aren't they? It doesn't look great for Cambridge, and the Oxford team are going to know that everyone back in Oxford is right behind them, and all the other crews who haven't been able to deliver, it all rests on Oxford, and Oxford in a great position here.
They're moving out to clear water, aren't they? That's a really crucial point in this race. There's the Cambridge crew on the right of your screen. Stroke Matt Edge at 7, Callum McRae, Rob Peacock in the 6th seat, Freddie Scott at 5, Eaton Cortesa in the 4 seat, Sam Kitto at 3, Fred Gillard, we've spoken about him already in the 2 seat, Cam McKenzie at bow, Cox by Holly Beveridge, and they are really up against it now because Oxford have continued to move out, Tom.
Yeah, and Nick Ryan in the 5 seat for Oxford, he's had a bit of a rivalry going with the Cambridge stroke man, Matt Edge. Matt's from the Durham Amateur Rowing Club. I'm sure they're all cheering him on, but I suspect that Nick's enjoying this one. They've competed against each other in their junior rowing careers, and I think Oxford's Nick Ryan is going to get the win this time.
Now, what will the Cox? I know you've been in a position you wouldn't like to be in your 2 boat races, Tom, but what will the Cox Holly Beveridge be saying to her Cambridge crew at the moment in terms of, they're practically a length of clear water down? What is it that she can be saying to her crew?
Yeah, I'm getting some horrible flashbacks. I think hopefully she's lying through her teeth and saying, we're right up there. We're gonna overtake them. Like, she's just gonna try and rally to keep the Cambridge guys, in the fight and keep their heads up. And anything can happen. You've seen, those races where people really blow and the lead changes hands. So it's really important that they do keep stamping on the foot plates and believing that they can do this.
Nobody's looking round in that Cambridge boat now. That's the stroke with the cap on, Matt Edge. Behind him, the Irishman Callum McRae from Larne in Northern Ireland. In the 7th seat, a lot of responsibility resting on that stern pair now. I think they've checked the rot, so to speak. They've held that distance, and that's going to be one good thing chalked up. Now they've got to try and claw back that clear water advantage. Look at the way they're working.
Yeah, and you can see the bowman giving a few shouts as well, shouts of encouragement. He clearly still does believe, and they've gone through a lot, through all the lockdowns, and they're never going to give up until it's fully over past the finish line. So let's see.
So I reckon we're into about the last sort of 1,000, just over 1,000 metres of this race. Definitely into the final third. There was a look behind you. Saw Cece Hong, the Cox from St Catherine's, former Headington schoolgirl, check over her shoulder. There she looks again. What is that looking round that she's doing there, Tom?
I suppose it's Oxford's race to lose, and she just needs to be aware and keep check where Cambridge is. If they start to creep up, she needs to make sure there's no mistakes from her crew. So she can move wherever she wants to when she's in front. But if she's in Cambridge's water and Cambridge has managed to catch up and take a contact, then she could lose the race for Oxford. So that's probably why she's checking round. She's just making sure she has all the information at her disposal.
Look at these fast tailwind conditions. You can see the wind blowing down the Great Ouse River, and it's pushing these crews onto what will be, I think, a really fast time for this race. Probably, a couple of minutes or so left of racing to go. And Oxford are in pole position. The Dark Blues had that lead of a length of clear water. Cambridge battling to try and get out. I think it's probably less than a length of clear water now, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, I think, and I mean, to be fair, they're doing well, Cambridge. They clearly haven't given up, and that gap is probably shrinking a little bit. Oxford, they're in the dominant kind of commanding seat here. They've got control of the race, but it's always impressive to see how much it means to these guys, and even when they're in the losing position, they're just going to try and fight for every single stroke left of the race.
Well, I guess these guys have been on the water for about 5 weeks or so after training in lockdown finished. Lots of rowing on the ergometers, maybe Zoom sessions with their crewmates, studying in the same room, sleeping in the same room, erging in the same room, not knowing whether this race was going to take place as we come up to the final 500 metres or so, and effectively Cece Hong has closed the door on Holly Beveridge, the Cambridge Cox.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, through the lockdowns, I caught up with the stroke man of Cambridge, Matt Edge, and he was saying he had just a 2 metre by 2 metre room in college, and he just spent the whole of the lockdown by himself, working, studying, sleeping, training in that room. So it's really, it's heartbreaking for him to not get that win on home water, but the dedication is so impressive.
So there we see, not far from the finish line now, the Dark Blues from our drone shot have that half a length of clear water lead over their rivals, the Light Blues. There's the finish bridge. There's the Sandhill Bridge, Little Port. That is the finish line of this lightweight men's boat race, and Oxford are coming up to the finish line and enjoying the view as they look back on their light blue rivals.
Absolutely, it's going to mean so much. The saviours of Oxford are going to get that sole win. What a sense of relief it's going to be. Here we go.
Wow. You could just see the celebrations there. The arms go out. The splashes in the water. They realise that they have done it. Absolutely. Thumbs up there from everybody.
Oh yeah, they're loving it, aren't they? Screams of delight.
The Cambridge crew just coming up alongside. You can see it's beat in the water there. Cam Mackenzie, the Cambridge bowman. And we're going to cut now to some post-race interviews after the guys have had the chance to get their breath back. Some of the coaches and rowers that we've just seen race.
Tell me, how did it go? Obviously, it wasn't your day, but that aside.
Yeah, I think we've gone out there and really given it all we've got. I just said to the guys, I'm so proud of what they've all done. I think they've gone, as a crew, we've gone through things that no one has ever gone through before, and people will probably never go through again. We've put down what I think is our best performance, and I think we can be proud of ourselves. And I mean, all I can say And I said this to the guys last night. If we lose, all we can do is congratulate Oxford, shake their hands, and say well done.
So nothing really that you'd have done differently. You were prepared.
You always overthink things. Like maybe you could have been a bit more aggressive at the start. Maybe if the conditions were different, like how would we have performed in headwind rather than tailwind, that kind of things. Like you never know for sure. But I think for today we've done. I mean, maybe an 8 out of 10 row. I don't think you can expect a 10 out of 10.
And was this your first, second, third year in the?
My second time in a blue boat. Lost.
You'll be back next year.
I will not be back, unfortunately.
Okay.
As my predecessor said, I would if I could. But who knows?
Thanks very much.
Thanks.
Cambridge coach, thank you for talking to us. A little disappointed, I'm sure. How did the race go for you?
I think my guys rode very well. You know, I'm very proud of how they handled themselves. I think we just came up against a crew that were a little bit better.
The significance of the toss, anything there to...
No, not really.
If you had won the toss, do you think you would have chosen that side?
We probably would have, but at the end of the day, whoever's fastest at rowing is going to win the race.
And your last word to the crew before they went out, tell me, what did you say?
I can't remember actually. You know, I just said that you've got to go and do your best, you know, and you don't know what the race is going to bring, so you have to manage your expectations and take whatever happens during the race, you know, and race the race that's in front of you.
Great. Thank you very much.
Well, I think the start went to plan. We had a decent start. We started moving up. Cambridge kept their rate a bit higher for a little bit longer and kept coming back at us. Every time we tried to move away, they were a bit sort of dogmatically kept coming back at us. Then we sort of got about a length and are holding that for a while. They did a big push just before the slight kink. We responded to that and took a bit more water there and then held them from there to the end when they started coming back, and we just sort of kept our composure and managed to hold it through to the finish.
What was the last message that you gave to the crew on the pre-race? Your last few words?
Just enjoy it. We knew we had good speed and our preparation was good up to this point. So we just trusted in the process, and for today, just be in the moment and enjoy yourselves.
And you won the coin toss, so you get to choose the side. Why did you choose the rail side?
I think just because whoever won the toss out of all the races that have happened, I chose that side. I don't think there was a big tactical difference today. The wind was fairly consistently tail, so I don't think that played into it much. But I don't know, other crews seem to favour that side, so we went with that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We knew that the opposition would be quick off the start, so we focused on that in the practices. And then, obviously, without the fixtures this year, it was difficult to know how fast Cambridge would be. So we just had to kind of react. In the end, it came to be a bit of a slog out all the way. We never really felt comfortable in the lead, but really glad to get the victory in the end.
So was there a point when you thought that you had it in the bag, or?
I think with about between 1K and 500 to go, we just knew we had to hold on because it felt like both crews had really worked really hard to get to that point. So maybe there wouldn't be a sprint finish at the end. There were a couple of times in the middle of the race, especially coming past the inlet at 2K to go, where there were some really concerted pushes from Cambridge, which we had to hold off as well. So I was really proud of the guys for the effort they put in. And I think our cock steered a pretty good line, really pushed Cambridge over. And when we had a bit of clear water, we managed to wash them down a bit, which I think helped as well.
And is this your second, third year, or are you back next year? Or?
This is my second boat race. So I was in the winning crew last year on the Tideway. Obviously, coming to Ely, it's been odd. We didn't get to do trial-8s here, so this was the last couple of days have been the only time we've rowed the course. And obviously surrounded by loads of Cambridge supporters and the Cambridge Boathouse. It's been pretty daunting, so I'm glad it turned out all right in the end.
Well done, congratulations.
Thanks very much.
So amidst the scenes of successful athletes from me, Martin Cross and Tom Ransley, it's goodbye for now from the 2021 Oxford and Cambridge lightweight boat races, sponsored by Interactive Investor. We hope you've enjoyed this show. Catch us again next year as we go for the 2022 edition.